Thank you for taking a moment to observe Transgender Day of Remembrance. Today, we mourn the murders of transgender and gender nonconforming people due to the senseless violence of transphobia and homophobia. The names of those killed in the U.S. this year will be appearing on the screen. We will remember their names. We're in the middle of a global crisis. This year, in the US alone, 22 trans people have been killed. That is a record high. Globally, the numbers reach into the thousands. The Trans Respect versus Transphobia project, a research institute tracking these numbers, reports that between January 2008 and December 2014, 1,731 individuals were killed globally. We can add at least 50 to account for 2015. And while this statistic is shocking, it does not account for the thousands of unreported deaths and the deaths that were not and will not be investigated or classified as a hate crime. It also doesn't account for the increased risk of suicide in the trans community. Trans people have on average a 41% rate of attempted or completed suicide versus 4.6%, which is the national average. Let's not take that as a given though. Let's unpack that statistic. Exclusion and rejection from family, friends, and community increases risk of suicide. Employment, medical, and housing discrimination increase risk of suicide. Harassment at home, in the workplace, and on the street increase risk of suicide. Sexual assault and exploitation increased risk of suicide. Transgender and gender nonconforming people experience these types of violence every day. It would also be wrong of me not to mention that trans women of color are particularly targeted by trans and homophobia. 19 of the 22 people killed this year were trans women of color. The intersecting violences of racism, classism, and sexism disenfranchise and force trans women of color into unsafe working and living conditions, often leading to their untimely deaths. So what to do? I don't really know, but I do know that change first comes from within. Educate yourself about the issues and violences faced by the trans community. Speak out when trans voices are silenced. Honor the dead and honor the living. Transphobia has no place in my feminism. What about yours?